How can you see into my eyes like open doors, leading you down into my core where I've become so numb?
Dear Mom, it's been 13 years since I've seen your beautiful smile, felt your warm hug, or heard your soft-spoken voice. Not a day go by that I don't think of you. Since the day you passed, it's been some rough years for me. None that would make you proud, but I'm sincerely working on that. I remember you once telling me that you wouldn't be around forever, and that day came November 16th, 2004. I beat myself up mentally for so long since that day, asking myself why. Why didn't I check on you throughout the night? Why wasn't I more aware of what you was going through? I recall our last words with each other was such a minute argument. I asked you what we were having for dinner, and you being you said food. I stormed out the house cursing and upset, all because you wouldn't give me a straight answer. I was so selfish. I went out and got high that night, all night. I was up all night to the early morning and ran out of my room to Dad screaming your name to wake up while the alarm was going off. To this day, the sound of an alarm clock gives me the chills. Entering your bedroom and seeing you lay there had me in a state of shock, telling myself this can't be real. It was like a bad dream that I wanted so bad to wake up from. The day of your wake, you'll be glad to know so many people lined up down the street and around the corner to pay respect. I was so numb that my body wouldn't let me shed a tear. My son, your grandson, Alphonse, came from New York to be by my side and see you all. So was your granddaughter, Tatiana. They were both young, but knew the concept of where you were and were going. They know Grandma will forever be in their hearts and by their side. I had a resentment with God for years to come after that because I felt He should have never took you from us that way.
Now that I know what I'm without, you can't just leave me. Breathe into me and make me real. Bring me to life.
Please state your name.
Dawn Medina.
Can you tell us whom it is that you have lost?
I lost my brother.
Tell us a little something about them, like how they were when they were alive.
My brother was a huge football fanatic. He played semi-pro football. When my brother walked into a room, he was the life of a party. He had such an infectious smile, and he was my best friend.
How did they pass?
My brother passed. It was just a series of just unfortunate events, basically. He had what we call a disease called amyloidosis, which basically he went into cardiac arrest.
How did you find out about their passing, and how did you feel?
I was actually out with my dad. We were coming home from getting ice cream, and my sister, she called and she said that she needed to talk to us and to call her as soon as we got home. And at that moment, I knew that something was wrong, but I didn't know that it had to do with my brother. And when we got home, I called her right away, and I had asked her, I was like, what's going on? And her words were, well, Dawn, you know that Felix has been very sick, and today God called him home. I literally dropped to the floor, and it felt like my whole world had just died. How do you go on from life losing your best friend, losing your only brother? It wasn't fair, and I just don't understand.
How do you think their passing has affected you?
My brother's passing affected me in probably the worst way. I have such bad anxiety. For the longest time, I didn't want to be here. I just wanted to be with him. And as selfish as that sounds, I just wanted to be with him because it hurt that bad.
How did you seek help during the grieving process?
I went to counseling. I tried it and it seemed to work for a little. And still, I try to use the methods that she taught me in everyday life. And just talking to my friends and my family has been helpful in a way.
If your loved one was here, what would you like to say to them?
If my brother was here, I would tell him that I love him with all my heart and that he has two beautiful nieces, one named Atiana and one Emily Rose. And I would tell him that I'm literally pushing through life every day for him.
What is your advice to others who have lost a loved one or those who have not?
My advice is to remind your loved one how much you love them, and don't take advantage or don't take it for granted the people that are around you and those who do everything for you and those who show you how much they love you, because they can be taken away so fast within a blink of an eye.
What was your purpose of being a part of the video?
My purpose was to keep my brother's memory alive and to show people how hard it is to go through life without the one that was mostly there for you, your best friend, your brother, a family member. It was so hard. It's so hard for me to get through life without my brother. That was another piece of my heart that was just taken away. I made this video, this project, to show everybody and basically show others that the love that I have for my brother, even after his death, is what makes me stronger throughout each day. My pain, I'm using this video to get it out and to just be stronger. I don't want to live like this every day of my life where I'm living in grief. I don't want my brother's death to be just a negative, because after his death, I learned to be a lot stronger in my life, and I learned to take each day as it's your last. After my brother's death, someone told me, Dawn, you have survivor's guilt. And I do. I never knew that, but I do. I feel like everything that my brother never got to do, I have to do. After my brother died, I found out that I was having my daughter. My daughter is the best blessing in my life. And I feel like my brother sent her to me because he knew I was lonely and he knew I was hurting. And yes, she can't take his place, but she filled a hole in my heart. She's the best blessing of my life. My brother did that for me. I feel like he sent her to me. My brother will never have the chance to walk me down the aisle or dance with me at my wedding. He will never get the chance to see me have a child or to meet his niece. His niece already loves him so much, and she's never met him. Felix, Atiana, she talks about you as if she's known you for her whole life. That little girl loves you.
My name is Ariana.
Can you tell us whom it was that you have lost?
I lost my little sister, Mia.
Tell us a little something about them. Like, how were they when they were alive?
Oh God, you didn't make me cry already. She was very full of life, very happy, always smiling. She made everyone happy around us. Everywhere we went, she was always so loved, and everybody wanted to see her and hold her and love her. She was just a little happy baby.
And how did she pass?
I'm not really sure. The doctors aren't really sure. She got sick one day and caught a fever, and my mother brought her to the hospital, and hospital visit turned into her never coming home.
How did you feel when she passed?
Shattered. So lost and broken. Like a big part of me just walked away. And I was there or able to be there for her or say goodbye because I was in Florida. So it was really hard. I had to come home to a funeral.
How do you think her passing has affected your life?
Dramatically, in many different ways. For a while, I've been very angry and shut down from not dealing with her passing. And like now, today, and I'm trying to be stronger for her and live for her and do positive things to make her happy and proud to have me as a big sister.
During your grieving process, did you seek any help?
Yeah, I did. I had school help. I had friends. And I saw a therapist. Nothing really seemed to help me too much.
If Mia was here, what would you like to say to her?
I'm sorry. I would like to tell her that I love her, and I hope that I'm making her happy, and I'm making her proud of who I am and becoming.
What is your advice to others who have lost a loved one or those who have not?
It gets easier. The pain doesn't go away. It's always there, but it does get easier. And don't be afraid to talk to someone, because talking and letting it out really helps a lot more than holding it in.
And last but not least, what was your purpose of being a part of this video?
My purpose was to tell my story, to let people know that you're not the only one. Everybody still feels that pain no matter how long ago it happened. And you're strong for being able to deal with it every day and wake up every day and keep moving and living your life for that person.
Can you tell us whom it is that you have lost?
My mom.
Can you tell us a little something about your mom, like how she was when she was alive?
Funny. She, nothing mattered more than her kids.
How did she pass?
Cancer.
How did you find out about her passing, and how did you feel?
The one night I ever left for the whole 3 months she was in the hospital, I got a call at 5 a.m. that her heart rate was declining, and by the time I got there, she was gone.
How do you think her passing has affected you in your life?
In every way. I deal with a lot of depression and anxiety from it. There's just so many things you want your mom there for. And
Did you seek help during this grieving process, and if so, how?
I saw a few counselors, but nothing really.
If your mom was here, what would you like to say to her?
I love her, and I'm sorry for my teenage years. I wish I would have spent more time with her.
What is your advice to others who have lost a loved one or those who have not?
I would say for those that have lost a loved one to keep their memory alive, grieve as much as you want. That's one mistake I made, was holding it all in the beginning, and now I'm still dealing with it. And for those that haven't, spend every second you can with your loved ones.
And last, what was your purpose of being a part of this video?
I just wanted to keep her memory alive, and I don't really talk about it much, so I figured it would help me a little bit.
Angela Berry.
Can you tell us whom it is that you have lost?
My dad and my stepdad.
Can you tell us a little something about them, like how they were when they were alive?
They were very kind. Ironically enough, they both loved fish. They were jokesters. They loved to laugh. They loved family. Family was always first with them, and they loved their grandkids. My stepdad didn't have grandkids of his own, so when he married my mom, after my dad passed, he now had children and he had grandchildren, and it was awesome to see him with them. But unfortunately, my children never got to see my dad, and that's rough.
And how did they pass?
My dad had a sudden heart attack. He had his third heart attack, and he actually thought it was indigestion, and he, I said, oh, just walk it off. And I went upstairs, and he hit the floor, and
how did you find out about their passing, and how did you feel?
I was actually in my room. I ran upstairs in my room, and I was playing Got to Be Real by, I can't remember her name now, whoever, Denise Williams, I think, whoever it was. And I was singing, and my mother was banging on the wall saying, your father, he's on the floor, he's on the floor. And I came down there, and he was blue, and we called the ambulance, and they kind of took their time getting there. They came in with no stretcher, no oxygen, no nothing. And I've always felt that if I had known CPR, maybe I could have done something, because since they took their time with it, and by the time they decided to go back out to the ambulance, it was too late. So that I still deal with guilt.
How do you think their passing has affected you?
Wow. Feeling guilty, like I said, about not being able to do something. It's just every day I think of them both. My stepfather was in a fire along with my mother, and we didn't think she was going to make it, and he couldn't live without her. And then once she made it, he just started to deteriorate. Dementia set in, and trauma, the trauma from the fire, and he ended up passing away. So it's like I've lost 2 dads, and my mother has lost 2 husbands, and it's a spiral effect, because now my mother's alone. She feels alone. She's back up here in New York, actually living with me, so it affects my whole life. It really does. Because I can't fix it. I wish I could do something to make her not feel so alone. But when you get married at 17 and you're now 92, and that's all you've done is you've always had a husband or some companion, I can't fill that void.
How did you seek help during your grieving process?
That's the problem. I never did. And I'm still dealing with, even though my father passed in 79, it's like it happened yesterday. So, and dealing with my stepdad, actually being there and seeing him pass, I should have got some type of grief counseling, but I'm one of those people that kind of feels like I can handle it. Whatever it is, I can handle it. And I haven't handled it well.
And if your loved ones were here, what would you like to say to them?
That you have awesome grandkids, and I wish you could spend some time with them, and to just thank them for loving me and accepting me for who I am. And I wish they were here.
What is your advice to others who have lost a loved one, or those who have not?
For those who have not, spend as much time as you can with your loved ones. Tell them that you love them. That's something I do with my kids several times a day. Every time they go out the door, it's love you too. It's like, it's a given thing. And to get grief counseling, because I think it would truly help. And it's probably not too late for me to get grief counseling, because I think it would help me just not be so pissed off sometimes inside. It's like I'm not pissed off at anyone in particular. I think it's just a deep-rooted sadness that never leaves, and I think grief counseling would definitely help. So get the help. It's out there if you need it.
Last but not least, what was your purpose of being a part of this video?
To get the message out there that you're not alone, and that if there's help available, if there's people that you can talk to just, sometimes you just need to let it out, that to please do it, because I think it's going to make a difference in your life, so that you're not don't have that deep of a sadness within you all the time. Thank you for the opportunity.
Alfredo Gonzalez.
Can you tell us whom it is that you have lost?
Well, I lost my mother in November 16th, 2014, and I lost a good friend of mine, Corey Anthony Clark, on May 29th, 2015.
Can you tell us a little something about them, like how they were when they were alive?
Well, my mother, she was very bubbly attitude. I could never do no wrong in her eyes. I was a baby boy. I was a mama's boy, and she was just friendly. Where she worked at, she had a lot of friends that she cared for. She had a big heart, and she would always give when everyone is in need. And never asked for nothing back. And as far as my friend Corey, he was just a good friend at heart, good father, and an all-around good person. And also had a big heart.
And how did they pass?
Well, my mother passed away by natural causes in her sleep at a young age. She was about 52, 53. And it was very shocking to all of us. It was very unexpected. And it was a sad moment in my life. And my best friend died, and he got shot and in the streets. And it was that was also a sad day. It was like a couple of months apart. So yeah, it played a big part of my life.
How did you find out about their passing, and how did you feel?
Well, as far as my mother, like I said, it was very unexpected. My last conversation with her was an argument, so that I really regretted. And the next morning, I woke up to my father's school. I actually woke up to the alarm going off for her to go to work, and I knew something was wrong. Because then I heard my father screaming her name to get up, to wake up, and I ran in the room, and she was not moving. And from there, I knew what happened, and I couldn't take it. I broke down. And as far as Corey, it was just a phone call, something in my gut. I had that gut feeling that night, and I went to call him, and his girlfriend at the time picked up the phone and just started crying and told me that she was at St. Luke's Hospital, that he passed away.
How do you think their passing has affected you?
Like I said, they were a couple of months apart. My mother in November, and then my best friend in May, and it affected me a lot. I mean, I fell into deep depression, isolation, drug addiction played a big part. Going into depression, didn't want to feel, numb my feelings. I cut myself off from the world, from family, and I fell in a real dark place. I just didn't have a purpose anymore. Regardless, I still have my kids, but at the time, where I was in that dark place, I just felt like I didn't have a purpose anymore.
How did you seek help during the grieving process?
It took me a while. You know, like I said, at the moment, my way for the grieving process was to numb my feelings, you know, toward using drugs. And like I said, that made me fall into a deep place. And a couple years later, once I began to get help for my addiction and my depression, I wound up taking grief counseling and grief group. And I still didn't come to terms with it. I had to take a couple of months, but after going through that process, it helped me realize, you know, and realize what the part of death was, and that it's part of life, you know, and it's gonna happen. And I kind of dealt after that process, you know. I realized that everything happens for a reason, even though I hate that saying, but I realized that everything does happen for a reason, and they're always over me watching me. So,
If your loved one was here, what would you like to say to them?
I deal with that question every day. You know, there's many things that obviously that I would love to say to them. You know, as far as my mother, I think my actions would say a lot more. You know, especially where I was at the time before she passed. So I would definitely like to tell my mother, like I do every day, that I'm continuing to grow into a bigger and better man, a greater father, and you know that I'll always love her, and that I am the man who I am today because of her. You know, and I know she's always watching over me and smiling. You know, and as far as my best friend, he's always in my heart. I always wear him on my shirt. I have tattoos, you know, to let him, just to remind me, you know, how close he is to me, and just to let him know that, you know, I would never let his name or his legacy fall, and that his kids will never have to worry as long as I'm around.
What is your advice to others whom have lost a loved one or those who have not?
As far as, you know, people, like I said, death, I realized that death is a part of life, you know, and it's going to happen. And to those who have lost a loved one and not yet dealt with that process, you know, it takes a while. You know, it does take a while, and for them to realize that, you know, it's going to be a hard road. It doesn't come, you know, instantly to forget, because you're never going to forget, you know, and it's always going to be back of your mind, the regrets, what you could have done, what you should have done, you know, but just learn not to beat yourself up for that, you know. In certain situations, maybe you feel like you could have done something or you should have done something different, you know. I just learned that you just beat yourself up through the process and make it worse. You know, it's easier to let go, you know, and just think about the happy memories and keep the happy memories close to you, and that'll get you through the rough times.
And what was your purpose of being a part of this video?
Well, you know, as soon as I seen what this project and this video was about, I instantly grabbed to it. I felt, you know, I've been going through this for a while, and as my part of my process, talking about it and getting things off my chest is a big part of it. And I know there's people out there that's going through the same thing that I have been going through and still am going through. And as long as I can reach one person out there that understands my story and what I'm going through, I feel like I can make a difference. You know? So that's my goal, you know, for speaking about this and letting everyone know that, you know, it does happen. People go through depression. People go through mental health problems, you know, as far as depression, anxiety, so on and so forth, you know, and there's ways to get through it, and there's ways to deal with it. It's especially positive ways and not negative ways.
All right, we want to get your mom's letter?
Yes. It's actually a letter I wrote through my grief process, my grieving process, and It says, "Dear Mom, it's been 13 years since I've seen your beautiful smile. Felt your warm hug or heard your soft-spoken voice. Not a day goes by that I don't think of you. Since the day you passed, it's been some rough years for me. None that would make you proud, but I'm sincerely working on that. I remember you once telling me that you wouldn't be around forever, and that day came November 16th, 2004. I beat myself up mentally for so long since that day, asking myself why. Why didn't I check on you throughout the night? Why wasn't I more aware of what you was going through? I recall our last words with each other was such a minute argument. I asked you what we were having for dinner, and you being you said food. I stormed out the house cursing and upset, all because you want to give me a straight answer. I was so selfish. I went out and got high that night, all night. I was up all night to the early morning and ran out of my room to Dad screaming your name to wake up while the alarm was going off. To this day, the sound of an alarm clock gives me the chills. Entering your bedroom and seeing you lay there had me in a state of shock, telling myself this can't be real. It was like a bad dream that I wanted so bad to wake up from. The day of your wake, you'll be glad to know so many people lined up down the street and around the corner to pay respect. I was so numb that my body wouldn't let me shed a tear. My son, your grandson, Alphonse, came from New York to be by my side and see you all. So was your granddaughter, Tatiana. They were both young, but knew the concept of where you were and where we're going. They know Grandma will forever be in their hearts and by their side. I had a resentment with God for years to come after that because I felt He should have never took you from us that way. It was too soon and you were still young. Your funeral was beautiful and you was laid to rest, but without a headstone at your gravesite. My drug addiction got worse because I just didn't want to feel anymore. Weeks and months went by and I was still waiting for you to walk through the door and say it was all a joke, but you never did. As I mentioned, my addiction got worse. People at the wake and funeral donated money to help provide a tombstone. But I was so caught up in my addiction that I used the majority of that on drugs. I've hated myself for years to come because of that. I couldn't bear to go to your gravesite and see that thing sticking out of the ground with the tiny plaque bearing your name, surrounded by all other graves with tombstones, knowing I was the reason you were without one. I asked, can you please forgive me for my decisions and actions? Things got worse for me and I began to hurt a lot of people in the family with my lying, stealing, and drug use. A couple years later, your daughter Melissa gave birth to a beautiful girl, Amaya Lovey Thompson, in memory of your name. She gave her your nickname Lovey as her middle name. Then 3 years later, gave birth to another beautiful girl named Ava. I wish you could have met them. They are both so smart and beautiful and talk about you all the time because she hangs your picture in the living room. You will be proud of her. She is a great mother and reminds me so much of you. As for myself, I have my ups and downs, but I'm seeking treatment at the time, and I am 10 months clean from drugs as of May 28th. I've beaten myself down, physically and mentally, since the day of your passing. I'm going to church more now, and getting back in touch with my spirituality. I've learned to accept the fact that death is a part of life, and that it was your time to move on to a better place where you won't suffer anymore. You'll be glad to know that your daughter saved up money to get you a beautiful tombstone, and I plan on paying her back when I can. Mom, I still and will always miss you, but I know you are my guardian angel watching over me and keeping me safe through my journey of life. I no longer hurt because I know you wouldn't want me to. You would want me to be here more for my sister and nieces and be a great father to my kids. By the way, your grandson's in college on a football scholarship and taking enough criminal justice to be a cop. You would be so proud of him, because I know I am. And your granddaughter Tatiana is going to high school and is growing to be such a beautiful young lady. I know you're protecting all of us. I love you and miss you more than words can explain. But I gotta stay strong. You wouldn't want it no other way. So till the next time we meet, I love you with all my heart. Love always, your baby girl.
Far story.
Can you tell us who it is that you have lost?
My grandmother.
Can you tell us a little something about your grandma and how she was when she was alive?
When my grandmother was alive, she was really a people person. She was a nurse. Um, she just cared a lot about people, and she was always willing to help somebody when she could. Um, just she was really just a people person.
And how did she pass?
She died of lung cancer. Well, it was started as breast cancer and it spread to her lungs and eventually through her whole body.
How did you find out about her passing and how did you feel?
Uh, I found out through a call from my mother. We had responded through messages on Facebook because I was away at school, and she just called me and she said she had bad news. And as soon as she said she had bad news, I knew what the news was. So, I mean, and how did I feel about it? I was alone by myself, 3.5 hours away from all my family. So, like, I don't know, I was just beside myself.
How do you think her passing has affected you in your life?
Well, for one, I know that her passing made me appreciate the people around me more and actually made me appreciate my loved ones, my family. Like to spend a lot more time with them. I don't rush anybody off of the phone anymore. And it helped me to appreciate one of the best gifts that came into my life, which is my son.
How did you seek help during your grieving process?
Really, I just prayed. I just prayed to God and asked Him to, help me through a tough time. And it really helped because I was around family, even though it was only for a week, but I was around family and we all were going through it together.
And if your grandma was here, what would you like to say to her?
Thank you for everything that you did for me, and you made me a better man, and and helped me to really realize that my life is not my own, that people do really need me and appreciate me.
What is your advice to others who have lost a loved one or those who have not?
Really just try to focus on the good, like focus on the good memories and hold on to them. Try not to like dwell on the what ifs, like if you would have got more time with this person, or if you could have intervened in whatever trauma happened around their passing. Just hold on to the good and just know that it's really another part of life and it's not a goodbye to see you later.
And what was your purpose of being a part of this video?
Just because I know that everybody at some point is gonna have to deal with a loss, and if my words could help somebody, then I feel like I'm making a difference.
Taylor to Stacy.
Can you tell us who it is that you have lost?
I lost my mom.
Can you tell us a little something about your mom, like how she was when she was alive?
She was really strong, determined. She was really smart. She was really just
to me, like, she was otherworldly. Like, she knew everything. If I had a question, like, she knew the answer. If I needed help, she would help me right away. Yeah, she was just a really caring person.
And how did your mom pass?
She passed away of a heart attack.
And how did you find out about her passing, and how did you feel?
I was there. And me and two of my brothers were there. She went into one of the rooms, and she was in there for a while, and afterwards it made me feel like I was alone, because she was the person I was always able to talk to, and she was the other girl in the house, so like I had somebody that I could relate to. So even though I had my brothers and my dad, like I felt just by myself after that.
How do you think her passing has affected your life?
It's affected it in good ways and bad ways. I mean, I've become a stronger person. Because before I do something or say something, I always think about what she would think of the situation. So I always just revert back to her voice in my head, and how she would want me to assess the situation, or whether it was a good or a bad thing. I've grown more independent without her here. I've grown more open to people, and I've grown more attached to my family, because it was a moment where she had walked down the hall and I had seen her, and it was not a half an hour after that we had to call 911. And one of the last things that I remember was that she laughed before it happened. So that stuck with me. So whether it's a bad situation or a good situation, I always think about her laugh, because that was the last thing I heard. And I don't know why, it just makes me feel better.
And how did you seek help during your grieving process?
I didn't from anybody. For about 2 years, I shut everybody out. And that's probably why I felt more alone, because I shut everybody who wanted to help out. Obviously, like, in those 2 years, like, I went the bad way. So, I guess just in those 2 years, I reassessed myself and tried to not. Okay. When I realized that I was going the wrong way, I tried to think about what she would want me to do because she wouldn't want me to be like that. So I turned myself around by opening up again to more people, to doing things that I don't normally do, doing things that she would want me to do. Like if I want to take a trip, take a trip. If I wanted to do some artwork, do some artwork. If I wanted to be alone, I could be alone. So I guess I did more self-help with the grieving process after than I did with opening up to people.
And if your mom was here, what would you like to say to her?
That I love her. Because I didn't say it before.
What is your advice to others who have lost a loved one or those who have not?
To not be mad at people, to always forgive people, because something like this could happen out of the blue, and you don't want like the last thing you said to somebody or the last thing you did with somebody to be something negative. So you want just
You okay? Take a deep breath. Here we go.
to just not take everything so seriously. Because nothing is that serious, whatever it is. Oh, I don't know.
And what was your purpose of being a part of this video?
I never understood why people talked about somebody they lost so much until it happened. So the reason why I decided to do it was it's better to talk about something that's bottled up inside than to keep it there. Because it's not good if it's bottled up inside. So I wanted to do this for just the people who would see it, that everybody who has lost somebody, they've gone through that hard time, but at the end, it makes you stronger. And even though you lost somebody, you're a survivor because you had to live on without that person. And that's one of the hardest things to do. So I just wanted to let people know that it's okay. If they want to talk about it, if they want to say something, even if they bring it up at random times, it's fine. Because we're all human and it's okay. That's it.